Hello, my name is Justin McCarthy. I'm a Massachusetts attorney, and today I'm going to talk to you about how to end month-to-month lease agreements. There are two types of lease agreements. There are fixed-term lease agreements, and there are month-to-month lease agreements, which are also referred to as tenancies at will. So a fixed-term lease agreement is a lease agreement with a specified amount of time in it. So the lease itself will say that the lease will be in effect for whatever it might be, a year, 5 years, whatever the parties agreed to. A month-to-month lease agreement is an agreement that goes on for an indefinite amount of time, so long as the tenant continues to pay the landlord and the landlord allows the tenant to stay at the property. The month-to-month agreement can stay in effect. So month-to-month agreements can be formed in a number of different ways. The lease itself could state that it's a month-to-month agreement. There could be no lease. The tenant could move in, start paying rent, and that in and of itself would create a month-to-month lease agreement. Or you could have a fixed-term lease that's expired, but the tenant has stayed at the property and continued to pay rent to the landlord, and that would create a month-to-month lease. So to end one of these, what you need to do is you need to send to the tenant a notice to quit. And the tenant needs to be given at least 30 days advance notice that the agreement's going to end. So essentially you send a letter, you state either at the top of the letter or in the subject line that it's a 30-day notice to quit. You need to tell the tenant that he has 30 days from the beginning of the next rental period in order to get everything in order and be out by the end of that 30 days. So, for instance, if you gave notice to the tenant at the end of May that the lease agreement was going to be ending, he would have 30 days from the start of the next rental period, which would probably be June 1st, in order to get his stuff and to leave. Not much else needs to be put into the letter. You should give a specific date for when the agreement is ending. You don't need to give explanations for why you're terminating the lease. You need to sign the agreement, and then you need to deliver it to the tenant. And there's no required way of getting it to the tenant. You could hand it to the tenant. If you choose to hand it to the tenant, it's best to have the tenant sign a copy of the letter acknowledging that he received it. Or if you don't think he will, and you're going to give it to him in hand, you might want to bring a witness with you to sign the notice acknowledging that he watched you hand it to the tenant. You can also mail the notice. You can mail it first class. If you mail it certified, mailing it certified is a good idea, but if you do mail it certified, you should also mail it first class to the tenant, just in case he doesn't pick up the certified mail, or the mail carrier doesn't get the tenant to sign for it when he delivers the mail. And lastly, if you wanted, you could have the sheriff serve the notice to the tenant. But no matter how you try to get it to him, if the tenant does not receive it, then he will not have notice. Okay, so you need to find some way that you can make certain that he's going to receive the notice. And that's about it. It's fairly simple. If you have any questions, please give me a call. If you need help drafting a letter or want me to draft one for you, I'd be happy to do it. Just let me know. All right, thanks so much.